Well, Darren, how many people have been leaving? We caught the last dozen or so, half dozen or so.
Transport.
Transport. Of course.
It is difficult to keep across all these things, isn't it? Most of them seem to have left. I'm trying to think of the people we have. We haven't seen James Cleverly, the Foreign Secretary, leave yet. We haven't seen Suella Braverman leave yet. Jeremy Hunt, he might just pop across the corridor into number 11, mightn't he? Yeah, interesting though that they spent 35 minutes, I think, in Cabinet this morning. Pretty brief, I would have thought, for a first Cabinet meeting, given the fact that the first 5-10 minutes of it is a photo call. I'm sure we'll get those pictures a little later on. Tom Tugendhat, you and I were talking about it, he turned up 10 minutes late, so he must have been only there for a couple of minutes. In saying that, you would have thought they've got some really kind of big fundamental discussions and decisions to make when it comes to the economy, comes to departmental spending, comes to potential tax rises down the road. And we know that there are very serious discussions taking place at the moment about whether that medium-term fiscal plan that was scheduled for this coming Monday...
Darren, a door behind you. Who's just popped out there? Date. Can't quite see.
That is not a minister, Tom.
Not a minister.
It's
too far away from me on my little screen.
I think he might be a bodyguard. He might be a bodyguard. More to follow. I think he might be James Cleverly's bodyguard. We'll keep you posted on that. I think looking at the wider picture, though, obviously there have been some controversial appointments, I think it's fair to say, most notably that of Suella Braverman, even though the Cabinet mainly reflects people we've seen in the past in the same jobs. Questions, of course. Rishi Sunak stood in Downing Street yesterday, didn't he, talking about integrity, talking about high standards, professionalism. Labour this morning making hay with the fact that they feel, well, if you look at all of those 3 words, or 4 words, that actually Suella Braverman falls at each of those hurdles with that revelation that she mistakenly, she claims, sent emails forwarded on emails that she shouldn't have done last week that led to her resignation as Home Secretary, suggestions she broke the ministerial code, suggestions that the Cabinet Secretary, Simon Case, is not very happy with her reappointment yesterday. And I think at PMQs today, Prime Minister's going to have to put up with some questions on that from Keir Starmer. Now, he clearly thinks she deserves a second chance. He clearly thinks that they're on the same page when it comes to this really tough issue of migration, particularly trying to tackle the small boats crisis in this channel. And there we go, that's Dominic Raab leaving. A good first Cabinet, Mr. Raab? Very good was the word there from the Deputy Prime Minister, back in post as Deputy Prime Minister and indeed Justice Secretary this morning. You're right, Tom, in suggesting that lots of these people are not just familiar faces to all of us. There he is, the Foreign Secretary. Good first Cabinet Foreign Secretary and International Development Minister. And some more officials. It is interesting, isn't it, Tom, that I had to correct myself almost there. I almost called Andrew Mitchell International Development Secretary, his old job. But of course, it's no longer a department having been absorbed inside the Foreign Office. They are literally, and this is interesting if you don't know the geography of Downing Street, the Downing Street door is there. The Foreign Office is literally immediately opposite. So they are essentially just walking into their offices in the space of about 60 seconds. James Cleverly there, still Foreign Secretary, and Andrew Mitchell as International Development Minister, but a senior Minister of State who does attend a Cabinet. So at PMQs today, it'll be a real test, I think, for Rishi Sunak. How does he bat away those questions about Suella Braverman? I also suspect Keir Starmer will go on some of the big decisions about public spending, about austerity 2.0, because those decisions will have to be made, and I think they will be pretty difficult, pretty uncomfortable decisions. Eye-watering, Jeremy Hunt called them last week, and I think Labour will probably go on both of those 2 issues. But this is the first time Rishi Sunak would have stood in the dispatch box as Prime Minister. It'll be an interesting first session, and then he'll come back here. Well, first of all, actually, he'll stay in the Commons to do a lot more sackings of junior ministerial posts, and then he'll return here to Downing Street to reappoint a whole range of other ministers, because this reshuffle has far from ended in many regards. There are lots and lots of ministerial jobs still to fill, and that will drag into today, this evening, maybe into tomorrow as well.